888-565-1470. And now, here's attorney Joseph Bryan.
Good evening and welcome to the People's Advocate Hour. This is attorney Joseph Bryan, and I'm here to discuss the People's Advocate issues. So listen, last week we were talking about Lois Lerner, our favorite IRS officer, the one that basically appears to have abused her position for political powers that may be. And it turns out that all it took was somebody to actually look for it, and they were able to find the backups of their emails. Wow. So the emails weren't missing. Well, maybe they were missing, but now they're found. So what do you think is going to be found in this stuff? Are they going to find that she undermined her position? She undermined the American way? That she used her position in the IRS to abuse the people of the United States? This is a question for us to know. We will find out soon enough, I'm sure, now that they've found the backups. We'll soon find out. But it's kind of frustrating. The question is do you think that the federal government will actually bring charges against her once they find out that she's a naughty girl and has abused her position for the benefit of the Democratic Party? I don't know. I thought it was really offensive when Tricky Dick, you know who he is, right? Tricky Nixon. For all those youngsters out there who don't remember it, he was an individual that thought that the presidency had certain powers to do what the heck they wanted. He was trying to create sort of like a little kingdom in the presidency. But once again, he was brought up on charges and decided to exit. And he's gone. Now we have Obama and we have Lois Lerner. I just pray to God that nobody in the White House was involved in this fiasco. That I'm hoping that Lois Lerner just wanted to be a better American by keeping down the right because of her left-leaning wills. It would be shocking to me to find out that the White House actually initiated a Tricky Dick. Remember that Nixon was a Republican, wasn't he? So we yelled at the Republicans for all the nastiness that they've done, and then we get these Democrats that come in claiming to have a open and virtually, come and see what's going on. We're going to be transparent. And then where's the transparency? I don't know. I'm very concerned. As the People's Advocate, I want things to go well for our country. And as a People's Advocate, I want there to be righteousness in the White House, in our Congress, and in our administrative offices that are there to take care of the needs and the wants of the American people. Once again, we're going to have an interesting night tonight. I'm going to have another guest here, see if the electricity will go out. Once again, the phones went out last week when I brought in Imad Salem, so later on in the show today I'll be bringing Imad Salem in from the distances, and he'll be speaking to us about some of the more interesting factors in life, like who's behind Benghazi. Well, I think we're going to get the truth out of that today. And we'll probably get a chance to talk a little bit about what's going on today as it relates back to the days when he was all there under the gun, hiding out with Al-Qaeda in New York. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. In the meantime, I've had a few questions asked through the email. And one email question was, well, I've gone through the process of trying to get a modification. Turned down 3 times. You gotta love it. 3 times. That means you filed those papers, waited the months, updated, then sent them in again because they said they didn't receive them, and then sent them in again. And you did this whole process of irritation applying for a modification. After 3 times, you've been told no, 3 times in a row. You finally got the message. This is impressive. You figured out that they're not going to give you a modification. And your financial situation hasn't really improved. And it doesn't look like the financial situation looks really good because 3 years since you paid the mortgage. So you're now almost $100,000 upside down, where how much you owe in interest and late payments and all these other little fees that they can throw on, including attorney's fees, because attorneys want to get paid when they foreclose on you. And the person's saying, well, what can I do now? Well, the only thing you can do right now that makes logical sense, if at all possible, and it should be, is to do a short sale. And what's a short sale? Is basically a third party will be found who will buy your property, sometimes during the process of listing it, and they will offer a reasonable market value for the purchase. They'll negotiate with the bank. The bank will ultimately accept less than they are owed. Sometimes that involves negotiations with the second mortgage, because sometimes people have two mortgages, like an 80-20 or something else like that, or they refinanced a couple of times and then took out an equity line of credit. And most often the second position will negotiate a short pay and will release the lien. Sometimes the HELOCs and sometimes the second mortgages demand the seller, the owner of the property, promise them to pay a certain amount of the loan that they're walking away from. But whatever the case may be, is there's a short sale. Usually there's a waiver of the deficiency, and then ultimately the person gets the property sold, walks away from the property. They generally are going to waive any right to search after you for the deficiency. And as for purposes of your credit, because it's not a foreclosure or a deed in lieu, you're now looking at a great situation. And that great situation, for all intents and purposes, is that your credit comes back at a much sooner date than it would have had a foreclosure. Generally speaking, you can't get a conventional loan for 2 years after a foreclosure, sometimes longer, depending on how bad your credit is at the time of 2 years is up. But when you do a short sale, you pay off less than is owed. The negative remark on your creditworthiness goes away. There's no statutory requirement that you wait 2 years before you can apply for another mortgage. You can really get yourself up and running within a year after a short sale. I definitely recommend the short sale as the best offer for somebody who's tried to modify and couldn't modify. The property's in foreclosure and it's going towards a sale date. Is also generally provides you with more time in the property. If that was one of the things you're looking for, if you start processing a short sale some 30 days or 2 weeks before the sale date, you generally can cancel the sale date if this is the first time up to bat. And you can often get up to 3 to 6 months to process the short sale before the foreclosure sale would ever go through. Therefore, you end up getting more time on your hands. Okay? Once again, this is the People's Advocate Hour. If you have any questions, you're welcome to give us a call on 888-565-1470. I'm giving a shout out to my little nephew, River, and Eden. I'm sure she's sitting there with River. Sky's on a play date, so she probably is not listening to us here tonight. Just thought I'd give a little shout out. It's always good to give those family members a shout out. So far, the electricity is staying on. The phones are working, so feel free to give us a call at 888-565-1470, especially when Imad Salem comes on. He loves to talk to the public. He's got a lot to tell you. Unfortunately, in our little show, it's generally not going to be fast enough or long enough. Phones are down. I guess they don't want anybody calling in to speak to Mr. Imad Salem. I guess they're frightened of him. I guess what he has to say. Who knows? Who knows? Whoever's turning us off, we want you to know that we mean only good, because I for one, love this country, and I wouldn't bring somebody on who was an anti-American person. I don't see any purpose on the People's Advocate Hour to have them. But you never know. Once Imad's gone, our phones will come back on, and you'll be able to give us a call at 888-565-1470. Or you can give us a call on one of our cell phones at 954-274-3377. I'm sure they can't turn off the cell phone just now, unless they're going to bring down Metro PCS. Once again, we're going to take a break in just a few moments. Unfortunately, our tech guy's decided to run for the door. He's trying to figure out what's wrong with our phones. Once again, if you'd like to get a free consultation with the People's Advocate, you can give us a call at 954-320-6940. We're here for you. We're going to listen to what's going on with you and give you good advice. At the People's Advocate, you'll find us helping you with foreclosure problems, debt-related problems. If you're having issues where you have creditors coming after your consumer debt, let us know. We're here for you. Once again, we will give you all the time necessary for your issues to be discussed. You know, sometimes I have somebody come in and talk to me, and the next thing we know, we're talking about other legal issues that are going on in their lives, whether it be criminal. Once again, we have experience in 22 areas of law, so we're not limited in what we can do. We do estate planning as well as asset protection as part of estate planning. Once again, we're here for you. Give us a call at 954-320-6940. If you want, you can also try to give us a call on our toll-free 888-565-1470. And in the meantime, we're going to go for a little quick break and bring Imad Salem in to speak to y'all, let you hear some things that you want to hear. If you want to, you're welcome to give us a call. Once again, we'll be right back.
Are you losing sleep at night due to your debt situation? Call attorney Joseph Bryan today to sit down for a free consultation to discuss your rights. The People's Advocate is the trade name of the Bryan Law Group. The People's Advocate provides services to individuals and small businesses in bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sales, loan modifications, debt relief, consumer law, and estate planning in the South Florida area. Your initial consultation is free of charge. Proudly serving the South Florida community for over 21 years, Attorney Joseph Bryan will listen to your concerns and discuss options available to you. For more information, please call the People's Advocate at 888-828-9008. That's 888-828-9008. You are listening to the People's Advocate Hour with South Florida Attorney Joseph Bryan. He keeps you informed about your rights when it comes to bankruptcy or foreclosure and wants you to be part of his show. Call 888-565-1470 and help him help you get informed. Now, back to our show.
Imad.
Yes.
Hey there, how you doing today, folks? I'm flying all over the place here today with the camera. That's great. All right, listen, guys. I like I said, I brought back Imad Salem because not only is he adorable and full of information, but he's an American patriot, like myself and most everybody associated with the station. We love this country. We love our government. We love our form of government. We love our freedoms that exist under the Bill of Rights. And Imad.
Hi, Joe. How are you? Thank you for inviting me again.
Well, it's only because you love America so much.
Well, we both do, and thank God we do.
Why do you love America so much? I just, it's kind of strange, I mean, with everything we hear on TV and the guys burning American flags, sometimes they burn Israeli flags with American flags, sometimes they burn just American flags for the fun of it. They stomp on them. They seem to, not love America, but you do.
I do love America because it is the greatest country on the planet. America has a lot to give, a lot to offer, and it's the land of the free.
Now, I'm assuming, Imad, that you're a Muslim.
Yes, I am.
And you're a practicing Muslim.
Yes, I do.
And in America, you can practice your religion freely with nobody telling you to stop.
No, nobody did that.
You can go into any mosque, nobody's going to throw you out.
I have been in mosques, I have been in synagogues, I have been in churches, and nobody ever prevented me from practicing my faith.
Excellent, excellent. So that's part of the greatness of America is the freedom of religion.
Absolutely.
And that's one of our Bill of Rights.
Absolutely.
Does that right exist throughout the Middle East? Freedom of religion, freedom to practice?
It should be, but unfortunately it is not. Sadly, that there is a lot of people who have very corrupted ideology, and they start to squeeze the Christian Coptics, and they start to squeeze the Jewish people who lives in their countries, and that's a very wrong ideology.
You actually have personal experience dealing with people who have corrupted Islam for their own reasons, whether it be money, power, or just a desire to be mean.
That's correct. In 1991, I went undercover for the FBI, and I infiltrated the first Al-Qaeda cell on American soil, and that was in New York City.
Who were you working with back then when you were working with the FBI? Who were you infiltrating? Who was the person you're after?
I started with Sayyid Nusayr, who assassinated the Jewish rabbi Meir Kahane.
Yep.
And
JDL.
after that, I went a little further and I infiltrated the underground group who worked with the blind sheikh at that time.
Blind Sheikh, who's he?
The blind sheikh, his name is Dr. Omar Abdul Rahman. He have PhD in Islam
From where?
from Al Azhar University in Cairo.
Okay, that's like goes back 1,000 years or longer, right? As a big religious college.
It is the biggest university in Islam in the Arab world, or in the world per se, only. And he had PhD in Islam, but his ideology and his way of interpretation into Islam is completely different than 99% of the imams around and the other scholars around the planet.
It's unfortunate that he gets more airtime than they do.
Well, that's what he seeks. He is a power seeker and a money seeker.
Well, now that he's spending 23 hours a day locked in a cell with 1 hour to walk out by himself, I don't know how much power he must have in his life these days.
Well, you would laugh to hear that our beautiful America maintain his human rights and give him 15 minutes of phone conversation every other week to speak to his wife and children in the Middle East on our taxpayer money.
Well, it seems nice that he should be talking to his wife and his kids. Is that who he's talking to?
Well, of course not, because all what he's saying is on a speaker in the Middle East, and that speaker directed into a microphone via the internet, and he speaks to his followers.
So he's still got access.
He got access, and he succeeded to pass information through his attorney. He succeeded to pass information.
Yeah, but she got into all sorts of trouble for that, didn't she?
She got 10 years in a federal prison.
Wow.
But
10 years in a federal prison. Doesn't sound like fun.
It's not fun, but President Obama was so considerate, and he released her after 7 years.
That's still a good long time in jail.
For compassionate reasons.
I would be compassionate just because she's dumb.
No, she's not.
You think she knew what she was doing?
No, she is very smart.
You think she knew what she was doing, though?
She cross-examined me for almost 2 weeks on the stand in 1994 during the Day of Terror trial.
So you think she kind of knew what she was doing?
She is very cunning. She is very smart.
So she wasn't an innocent victim of the Sheikh?
No, she was not.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate that she's an idiot. And obviously didn't love the American way. Because the Sheikh's followers aren't really pro-American, are they?
No, they are not pro-America, nor pro-Christians, or nor pro-Jewish. They just follow what their spiritual leader instructs them to do.
Now, I understand that he's not so well, healthy-wise.
He had the best doctors in the world monitoring his diabetic condition, his blood pressure, and they feed him well. They kept him alive in prison now for 24 years, so what do you expect?
Now, when he first came here back in the 90s, how did he get here?
That was a nice gesture by our CIA after he helped them against the Russian invasion to Afghanistan. And once the Russians lost their war and they left Afghanistan, he requested as a reward for his cooperation to come to America to conduct his mission from New Jersey.
Instead, he turned around and bit the hand that was feeding him.
Little do they know that once they put him in New Jersey, he started to get orders of assassinations. He ordered assassination of Mustafa Shalabi, which one of the Muslim imams, over $1 million, and then the assassination attempt over Ariel Sharon, which it never went through, it failed, and then the successful assassination of Meir Kahane, and then the order of the first 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and then after that he gave his blessing to the 5 bombs we were building in the safe house in Queens to blow up the landmarks in New York.
Wow, a little thunder in the background to give emphasis on that little little bomb aspect. Now, ultimately, the bombs were finished off by a guy named Ramzi Youssef, right?
That is the 1993 bomb of the World Trade Center
And they ultimately killed American citizens.
It killed 6 people, which I dedicated my first book to these 6 victims.
That's right. You have a book that's currently out there, and you can get it on Amazon.com. What's the name of that book?
It's called Undercover, and it tells the real story behind the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and what really happened on my tongue through my experience with the bad guys, with the FBI. And
So, Imad, this guy, this blind sheik, this Abdelrahman, doesn't sound, even from his name alone, doesn't sound like a really friendly guy.
No, he is a self-centered, narcissistic. He loves 2 things only: power and money, and of course women. We
really?
won't forget. Yeah, he.
How many wives does he have?
Well, he have 2 wives.
Okay.
And when he came to America, he was flirtatious with his next door wife, which is a Muslim guy. His name is Abdurrahman. I'm not going to say his last name, but I know that he changed his name because he is in the witness protection program today.
Wow.
He was so flirtatious with her, and the guy was starting to write a book against him.
Well, I guess that's better than some of the Hamas prisoners in Israel, because they would kind of like go after the younger Palestinian prisoners. So at least he's going after flirtatious with women. I guess that, I don't know. At least he seems a little less corrupt than some of the leadership out there. Now listen, you were so involved back in 1993 with the Trade Center circumstances and some stuff that happened after that, and then you went into witness protection program, and of course you've been teaching for the different schools of the CIA and the FBI where you come in as a guest speaker. But how does what you got experienced back in 1993 have anything to do with what we're dealing with today? Because, I mean, look what's going on today. Let me just give you a little bit of an outline. We got ISIS creating a thing called the Caliphate, and they are blowing up churches and shrines to Christians and people that the religion actually respected these people. You've got some of the ISIS that is controlling parts of Iraq and Syria, demanding all the Christians who have been there for centuries to either start paying a religious tax or get out, threatening to kidnap their children and convert them to Islam. Basically enforcing a very oppressive Sharia law. And we've got Hamas attacking Israel responding. We've got the Syrian government just murdering their people left, right, and center. And now we have issues with, other stuff going on with Baghdad on the table right now, and we got Iran jumping into Iraq. I mean, things are pretty much blowing up. And we had the Muslim Brotherhood controlling a country for a short period of time, other than Turkey, because the Muslim Brotherhood controls Turkey. They got thrown out by the Egyptians, and the army came in as a savior to try to correct them. They've had their elections, but just the same, we've got a volatile Middle East going on right now. What is it that you bring from your history, your experience, to the table that relates to today?
Well, I will say that there is nothing changed from 1990 until today in the ideology of whoever you want to call themselves name. They want to call themselves ISIS, or they want to call themselves Khalafis, or they want to call themselves Muslim Brotherhood or Al-Qaeda. The bottom line, they are all one.
Following the same laws, same philosophy?
They pretend that they are following the religious rules, but they are following the ideology of alienating other religions other than Islam and killing anybody who doesn't follow Islam. And as you said, they are squeezing the Christians, Coptics in Baghdad and in Iraq and in Syria. Either they convert to Islam or they pay jizya, which is like some kind of taxes, just for being Christian, or they leave, and that's completely against the Islamic law. That's even not what Prophet Muhammad do.
But it's nice. Things have changed, because in the past, when the radicals were running the show, it used to be conversion by the sword. And now it's conversion by the M16?
Well, it was not a conversion by the sword. It was that period of time Prophet Muhammad was trying to do da'wah and spread Islam, and he was attacked by some people who wanted to suppress the
religion.
Islamic religion. So it was different than today. Today they are the ISIS or Al-Qaeda or these fanatic groups, we will call them, are transaggressors, and transaggressors are not allowed by the Quran. Do not transaggress. That's in the verses of the Quran.
Now, if a Imam says to me that if I go ahead and kill a bunch of people, put on this vest and what do you call it, and he promises me all those things in heaven, he could be lying to me, right?
He is not that he is lying to you, he's just brainwashing you. He's waiting for the weak points in your life to penetrate your brain and use his tools of words to let you go angry against either the Americans or the Western or some other religions to do his agenda for him.
Okay, so blowing up churches or shrines that are happening right now by under ISIS, as an example. Of course, we had the Afghanistan Taliban do the same thing with all the ancient stuff that was Buddhistic. They seem to think that it's right under God.
It's completely wrong, and Prophet Muhammad tried to teach us that by marrying a Christian, marry the Christian, and he married even a Jewish. Her name is Guwayriya, and her father is a Jewish. His name is Huyay. So Guwayriya, the daughter of Huyay, and marry the Christian. Why did Prophet Muhammad marry this and never blow their churches or synagogues? On the contrary, he tried to teach us tolerance. These people, this fanatic group, are very wrong for attacking non-Muslims regardless of their religion.
This is a distortion of your religion.
Absolutely. It's
unfortunately, in this day and age, with the power structures being what they are, though, your interpretation is not the dominant interpretation right now, because there's several different interpretations of Islam, and some are much more compatible with living in a society of multiculturalism, and others which they say there's only one culture, it's called ours, and if you don't like it, you gotta leave, and if you don't want to conform, you either have to give us some money or die.
That's the problem. This group of fanatics, they are following or trying to create what they call it Khilafah, means successors. Khilafah means successors. They wanted to be successors of Prophet Muhammad. However, they are following some hadith, which is what Prophet Muhammad said, and some sunnah, which what Prophet Muhammad did. The hadith and sunnah have been documented, I would say, couple of 100 years later after Prophet Muhammad's death. He died at the year 11, and then there is somebody by the name Bukhari and another imam by the name Muslim start to document what the hearsaying events and behavior of the Prophet. I'm not negating or doubting what Prophet Muhammad said or did, but I'm doubting the medium who transferred the words for 200 years, either due to his lack of memory, or maybe he have some agenda to manipulate the words, or just he cannot remember. So you cannot come today to say, I'm gonna rule the world with
my interpretation.
Exactly.
You know, some things are black and white, some things are gray. Now listen, I've been teasing everybody, supposedly, that since the 1990s you've been really on top of what's going on in the Muslim world, the American Muslim world.
Correct.
And what's going on in American politics is something that you breathe and eat, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I've been teasing everybody because I said that you know the truth about Benghazi. And it doesn't seem to be coming on the radio or the TV, and I've heard lots of different stories, but I understand that what we hear about Benghazi is not the truth.
Well, I think there is no secret about Benghazi, because right after the Benghazi event happened, there is a group called Omar Abdurrahman Brigade.
Abdul Rahman Brigade? Isn't that the guy that you
The
testified
Blind
against?
Sheikh.
The Blind
yes.
Sheikh?
Yes.
Why
These-
would they have anything to do with Libya?
Well, they are gathered there because we kicked them out of Afghanistan. So they went to Libya and they gathered themselves again. And their main mission is to have somebody valuable enough to exchange him for their spiritual leader, the Blind Sheikh.
So they were trying to kidnap the council. What was his name?
The ambassador.
What was his name?
Our ambassador,
Yeah, I forget his name.
Stephen.
Stephen, that's right.
Yeah, and they announced at that time, that's why I said it's not a secret. They said, we are Sheikh Omar Abdurrahman Brigade, and we're going to do what it takes to release him. And that
Now,
was their-
were they supposed to kidnap him? This was their intention?
I think that was their intention, to kidnap our ambassador, and then they bargain with our government and try to exchange him for the Blind Sheikh.
Now, for some reason, I remember some article, whether it was true or not, that that this was actually a negotiated Black Flags Op.
I don't have first-hand knowledge of that Black
You weren't
Flag
there, huh?
Ops. I wasn't there. But what I think is that this Blind Sheikh Brigade has some kind of arrangement to go there, and there is so many things when our CIA operative in the neighborhood tried to get involved to stop them, they got ordered to stand down and not to go protect our ambassador.
Not the exact, with the stand down, the concept of stand down, because they've already come across that. Nobody said the word stand down.
Okay, stop, don't go, don't defend our ambassador. It makes me think twice that why our government did not send really help.
What does the Arab world say?
The Arab world have a lot to say about
I bet
this.
they do.
And I keep my ears close to the streets, especially in Cairo.
And what did you hear?
They are saying that now the Muslim Brotherhood, who is in prison, threatening President Obama if he did not continue to support them and get them out of jail, they will release secret documents to put him in prison.
Now,
that
is
is the
it-
verbatim word in the newspaper in Cairo,
Which newspaper is that?
El Ahram newspaper.
So in Al Haram, they're saying that the Muslim Brotherhood are locked up in jail, are saying that they conspired with somebody in the American government to get the council in order to use him as a bargaining tool to get the Sheikh released.
Not exactly. They said that Khairat al-Shatir, which the Muslim Brotherhood third guy in command after President Morsi,
Right.
threatening President Obama if he stops supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, they will release secret documents to put him in prison. What secret documents, I have no knowledge of it yet, but it's in the front page in the Ahram newspaper.
Wow.
And I put it actually, copy of that newspaper on my website.
What's your website again?
It's called emadsalem.org.
Yeah. So
emadsalem.org.
I understand a lot of people like to listen to your blog. They read your blog because they feel that you've got something to say. Is that not correct?
It goes up and down according to the events. Once you have some terrorist activity, which we have a lot these days, my rating goes up and I see a lot of hits on my website.
From all over the world, I bet.
From all over, from China, Japan, Russia, you name it. There is a lot of countries.
Now, in my neighborhood, you're a very popular dude. But over there, right now,
But in your neighborhood, I'm living under different name and different
you're a
identity.
very likable guy.
Well, thank God I am.
I mean, not that anybody wants to dance with you, but you're likable.
I think I love everybody. I'm a color blind, faith blind, nationality blind.
True
All
American, you mean?
All I see is human beings, and that's what America stands for. That's why we are immigrant country. We love everybody, we accept everybody, and we go help other countries who needs help.
Including the downtrodden,
Absolutely.
or the 40,000 kids that have come in this year so far from the southern
That's
border.
a different story now. That's an invasion of America. I am not happy about it.
We should have a little bit more control on our southern border, don't you think?
I hope we could control our border, because maybe these kids not that bad, but among these kids could come one single person with dairy bomb, and we have catastrophe in our
Or
hand.
one person with a series of diseases that
Biological.
spreads, biological diseases, not necessarily intentional. Or better yet, quite candidly, there's a lot of gangs down in the Central American area that we've been dealing with the consequences in, Southern California. And quite candidly, some of them are coming up with tattoos even as young as 12 and 13, who are members of gangs that have history of killing people and are coming to our country. I don't know if we necessarily need all of these kids, but I'm not so quick to say that, all these children should be turned back and not given the opportunity of the American dream. I just think we have to come up with a plan of action, and I don't think it's necessary. The best way to do a plan of action is behind closed doors and not bringing the American people into the discourse. Right now, Obama's making decisions through his immigration department on how to handle these kids and where to send these kids. And I'm not so sure that doing it with not discussing it to the communities and not bringing them into the process is a good way. I think it's created a lot of distrust, which I think there's a lot of reason to distrust anybody's government, including our own, even though ours is better than the average. But it's a big concern. It's definitely a big concern. So, pretty much the followers of Abdel Rahman, the blind sheik, are the ones that did Benghazi.
They announced that. It's not a secret. They said, we are Sheikh Omar Abdurrahman Brigade, and we're going to do whatever it takes to free him. And I heard lately that our administration moved him from his prison, which he spent the last 24 years, into a hospital. And I hope that is not a preparation for some kind of compassionate transfer or release.
Now, Abdel Rahman is who to Al-Qaeda? I mean, we hear about Osama bin Laden. We hear about Muhammad, the guy that was the actual architect who brought about the World Trade attack. Mm-hmm. How does the blind sheik fit into this?
He have a PhD in Islam, and that give him the power of fatwa.
And what is a fatwa?
Fatwa is an Islamic order. That means when Muhammad Atta wanted to blow up the Twin Tower in downtown Manhattan, he have to ask the blind sheikh, which is the spiritual leader, they call him the Prince of Jihad.
Right.
Is it illicit or not illicit? Is it permissible to blow up these towers or not? And I asked him that question on tape.
Who did you ask?
I asked the blind sheikh.
Okay.
On tape, I said, do you think blowing up the United Nations building is permissible or illicit? He said, it is not illicit, but it's better to blow up something in the American army. It's a different suggestion.
Wow.
So that is what fatwa is.
Now, this is a guy that got brought to the United States, being offered the American dream, and instead of reaching out, well, he did reach out and grab a few American dreams, the women that he flirted with, right? But with the exception of the girls that he reached out and touched in America, the only dreams that he had were those of killing people.
Unfortunately, we have to understand, and I say our administration have to understand that these evildoers cannot maintain their promises. I'm sure when he came to America, he promised and swore allegiance to American people and the American land, but he turned quickly against America and ordered assassination and so on.
Now, his status here in America, he was never a citizen, was he?
No, he was entered by mistake, whatever that mean is.
Okay, nice mistake for him.
Nice mistake.
Bad mistake for us.
No, well, it is bad mistake for all American people, because we got 6 people got killed in the first bombing, and thankfully we
Over
did not.
3,000 the second time around?
That's the 3,000.
And 2001 was just a furtherance of his philosophy, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, all they were doing was just following his thoughts and his fatwas and his examples.
He was leading from federal prison through these 15 minutes humanitarian phone conversations.
So if he was released today, he would do the same evil doing today?
Well, he will continue to do what he always did, and they will be so happy to have him to bless the 5 leaders from the Taliban who just got released last month.
Wow. So he must be a really hateful schmuck.
He is full of anger. He lost his vision when he's young. He is full of hatred, and he don't like other religions. He don't like Americans. He pretend that he does.
So ISIS is not too far from his philosophy then?
They following his rules and regulations.
So if ISIS does grow, ultimately speaking, after Jordan and after Iraq, and I guess after Saudi Arabia, who's next?
I pray to God that we don't allow ISIS to grow, because that's going to come to bite us in American soil, on American soil.
So they're coming for us.
Well, that's their goal. They announced it's not a secret.
Why don't they like us? I think Americans are really nice people.
Because they want it to be like us, but they deny it, and they live the denial, and they seek the power through the so-called jihad.
I saw that big expensive gold Rolex on that guy's arm. The guy, what was that guy who's the new leader of ISIS, of the Caliphate?
Exactly. He was in our Guantanamo Bay, and for whatever reason, our administration released him to go compose this fighters.
We had this sucker in lockdown, and we let him go?
Yeah, he was in Guantanamo, and then we released him. No,
that's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. Well, if these 5 Taliban leader, you think they are not leading ISIS from
No,
Qatar?
but we got drone. We can drone them.
Oh, we can do a lot of things, but it depends on our administration. Please.
You know, the Israeli, the reporters in the Middle East for the Gaza conflict right now, they love to make the comment. Can you hear that in the background? Can you hear that in the background? And you hear this buzzing sound. It sounds a little bit like a small derringer. I mean, dirigible. The Goodyear blimp. Have you ever had it cross on top of you? It sounds like the engines of the Goodyear blimp. Just a little bit quieter. Mm-hmm. And you can hear it in the background. The drones.
Right.
And you know, you're not really frightened if you're 30 feet underground in a little hole.
No, yeah, I'm used to that. I'm an ex-military, so...
you never went and hid in a hole.
Yeah, well, we did.
You dug trenches. You never hid in a hole.
Well, we did dig ditches. We have been in war. We have been in situations. But unfortunately,
listen, you took you and your buddies, you guys took the Suez Canal in '73, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
You actually got the first chance to meet Israelis face to face.
I did face the first group of war prisoners in Cairo when they captured them, and it was a shocking experience for me. Actually, I write on it in my book.
The book.
And I said that for the first time, and actually I have a picture of this group posted in my book. And
so you found out that we don't have horns and tails? I'm being Jewish being here. I don't have a horn and a tail. I'm a little horny, but not on no tail.
It is funny to say that, because we always in Egypt, when we were growing up, how the caricature of the Jewish individual looks like. Mm-hmm. 2 little horn, a little tiny midget, and a big tail with a spear at the end of that tail. And it became an impression that the Jews are demons.
Well, listen, okay, you think that's funny. I remember when I was dating a girl in college, and she was a Southern Baptist, and she was a good girl from Georgia. And at one point in time, she was looking around for the 666, because she was told that all nice Jewish boys had 666 on their scrotum. That's America. And that's, of course, when I was in college several decades ago. But I'm still not sure that people in Georgia don't still believe that there's 666 on the scrotum. I don't know. We'll find out.
I think there is a lot of changes since that time, and
you know that Jews do not want to rule the world.
Well, Jews wanted to rule a certain part of the planet.
It's called Israel, bro.
It started with Israel and expand to the rest of the planet.
I don't know what Israel's doing going back in there to the Gaza Strip. When I look at the Gaza Strip right now, listen, back in the day when the Israelis had it, You know, I remember I was there in the early 70s, and I was there again in the early 80s when the Israelis still had control of the environment in the Gaza Strip. And, you know, you go down there and you have some great hummus, and, you know, you go to the vegetable market and get things cheaper than you can get them in Tel Aviv. It was fun to go down there, and people were friendly. I just don't think it's very friendly towards Israeli today. I don't think the Palestinians really want them in there.
Neither the Palestinians want the Jews there, nor the Jews want the Palestinians there.
Well, there's a joke is that a Jew can get into Gaza, he just can't get out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that kind of conversation still exists here today.
It does.
You know, they're all hiding in these little spider holes, just like Saddam Hussein, another great Muslim leader. The nickname was the Marmaduke or something like that. He was they thought of himself as a great conqueror.
Yeah, he was trying to mimic one of the famous Nasser Salahuddin.
Saladin, there you go.
He was trying to mimic him in his leadership, but unfortunately he was
corrupted.
He was evildoer as well.
Corrupted.
Yeah.
Power, money.
I'm so glad that he's gone, but I'm not glad that we lost hundreds of thousands of people from the Iraqi citizen and American soldiers.
Now, that just brings another point. In Gaza right now, they're complaining about over 1,000 Palestinians have been killed in several weeks of fighting. That's almost 3 weeks at this point in time. My understanding is that, you know, according to conservative estimates, the collateral damage to civilians in Iraq was like 40,000 people.
No, this is all numbers I'm not familiar with, but 1,000 people in 1 week or 2 weeks is a substantial amount of people. It's a lot of life being lost.
Do you believe the numbers?
I don't believe the numbers, because it's a media war now. The Palestinians trying to cry as loud as they could.
Well, we both agree.
And
one baby dead is one too many.
Exactly. And the Israeli crying that their citizen being shot by rockets and missiles. And it's a situation, and it's going to get worse before it get better, unfortunately.
You know, it's my expectation that they're going to do what they do best, and that's go in all the way.
They're going to go, and the number of the bodies going to increase, and I hope that's not going to lead into a big catastrophe in the Middle East area.
You know, things can get really out of hand over there.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, should we find that the Hamas is in a death throes, meaning that the Israelis have gone into their little hiding spots under the mosques, under the schools, and under the different places where they have their little holes in the ground, 30, 40, 60 feet underneath, so they can't be attacked by weapons. If they go in to get them,
Hamas is not the major problem. You got so many other problems to worry about.
Like
Hezbollah.
They could go ahead and get organized.
Hezbollah did not get the green light yet from Iran to interfere, and then Israel has to have another front to fight.
And that they also have those same tunnels that are going underneath Lebanon into Israel.
They do have the tunnels, and that's how they really fought against Israel. Very harsh fight last time Israel was attacking Hezbollah.
And now, why would Turkey get involved?
Well, Turkey will get involved because the leadership of the Muslim Brotherhood controlling Turkey and Qatar.
Muslim Brotherhood's running those shows.
Yes, so...
And Hamas?
Hamas is the military arm for the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood and Hezbollah is the military puppeteer, the military puppet for the puppeteer of Iran,
right,
controlling Hezbollah. So when you start to move all of these people around against Israel and move them together, we're going to have catastrophe in the Middle East, especially after the vacation of 4 months was given to Iran by our great administration.
Big mistake, huh?
It's a big mistake. We'll give them allowance to get some kind of big weapons to fight back, and it's going to be a big disaster in this
4
area.
more months is enough time for them to put together a nuclear bomb?
I think it's enough for them, but that's not the main concern. The atomic bomb is not the main concern. They have today something called EMP.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Thank you. You are so on the pulse.
I'm trying to be.
The electromagnetic pulse bomb, if it went off somewhere, it will paralyze that
the whole
country.
society, absolutely.
And I believe that Iran has that by now from our nice, unfriendly Putin, and it's bad.
My understanding is Putin's really smart. He likes to do things through third parties. I believe it was Belarus that actually did the transfer of these things, even though they may have been Russian in origin. But a lot of stuff that's been sent out that the Russians don't want to have their dirty hands on, they sell it through Belarus or other eastern capitals that they used to have control of and still have strong influence in.
When you look at the background of Putin, he is a former KGB. So what do you expect him to do?
Swim?
He is a scum. I don't want to even.
Don't listen. The last person that came up against him got given a little drink of radioactive isotopes.
I know that guy.
So don't think you're above it. So be careful. Be careful. You're not that far from him. He's only an order away.
I understand that he is a former KGB operative. He knows how to do, what to do, when to do.
The word is ruthless?
Absolutely at this time. And I hope our administration understand that and treat him accordingly, and hopefully they can stop him.
I feel really bad for our administration because, I have qualms with certain things. Obama Hussein Barack Hussein Obama. Come on, you got to give his last name. It's there.
Obama.
Just because you want to mention Hussein all the time, you naughty boy, you. The reality is that NATO has been emasculated, downsized. It's become an administrative organization, not a real effective military organization on any real level. They do maneuvers together, say, hey, I can dance, can you dance too? But they don't really do anything anymore. They don't have any power anymore. If Russia wants to go all the way over Lithuania, let's take Moldova while we're there. Hey, Georgia, I'm going to slap you down. NATO's going to sit there and go, this is terrible.
Well, I will also throw the blame on our allies around the world. Only America gotta carry the burden, and everybody's standing back and looking and condemning and objecting. I need to see some muscles behind the NATO, which has become
fluffy.
Very, very non-existence today.
They got a great size administration. They got millions of dollars spending for people to be secretaries and administrative offices in Belgium. I think it's great.
But when they are needed in a situation like Ukraine, they are not there to be found.
Yep. Listen, we got 3 more minutes left here to talk, so we don't have so much to go on. But we've been talking a lot about what's going on in Gaza. And we've been talking, and we've got the original provocateurs from Turkey talking about taking a big boat and coming over to visit Gaza.
Yeah.
The last big boat they came, they said, we're bringing humanitarian aid. When they opened it up, they had nothing except for some outdated drugs, but they didn't have even that. It was really just a provocative boat. They've got the number 2 Marva or whatever it's called, number 2 coming at them. And it appears that they're trying to negotiate with the Turkish government to bring the Navy. Do you think they got enough nerve to put their Navy up against the Israelis?
I don't think not at this time. They will do that when the Iranians start to go against the Israeli.
And you're expecting that?
The Iranians will do it when they get their ducks in the line.
Come on now, tell me, what do you mean by ducks in a line?
When they get their 4 months vacation from everybody's monitoring them, then they will be ready. Hopefully by that time
You're being evasive. You're saying once they get the bomb, they'll have the balls to go ahead and mess with Israel. Is that what you're saying?
They will do so, yeah, absolutely.
Because they'll feel that they have the ultimate ability to bring it on down.
Yeah, they said it. We want to wipe Israel from the face of the planet.
And where those guys are concerned, the Shiites over there in Iran, you kind of have to take them on face value.
Well, when I take any threat as a serious threat.
When the 93 bombing happened, I remember reading how the threat was said that what we did now, we're not finished, we will finish in the future. So I've always expected that, not a specific date or a specific a year, but when 9/11 happened, I was in no way, shape, or form happy. I was totally traumatized like the rest of us watching the second plane go into the building. But it was a foregone conclusion, wasn't it?
It took 10 years of preparation after the 93 bombing into bombing the towers and bring them down, and that's unfortunately not the end. Watch out what's coming, and I hope we can stop it on time.
Loving America, this is the People's Advocate Hour. Thank you for listening today. Unfortunately, our phones got disconnected by some powers that be, but give us a call back at 888-565-1470, or send us some emails. You can always send me an email at joelawyer@thepeoplesadvocate.com, or you can send an email to us on Twitter or otherwise. We want to hear from you. So if you have questions, I'm going to bring Imad back because he loves America so much and he's got so much to share with us. And we look forward to hearing from you next week. Once again, have a wonderful week. Stay safe on the drive. This is the People's Advocate Hour. If you have any questions, give us a call.
You have been listening to the People's Advocate Hour with Attorney Joseph Bryan. Join Attorney Joseph Bryan next week on the People's Advocate as you need to know your rights when it comes to bankruptcy or foreclosure. You can also contact our office at 954-889-7443 for a free consultation. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.